Hey everybody, it's Alexia from amysticspath, back with another weekly energy video for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Now, this week I want to do some things a little bit differently, kind of the way I tried to do things when I first started out, and that is kind of going over certain aspects of the week to explain why we're having some of the energy that we're having, and then moving forward into the reading portion. And I think that this is kind of where Spirit is taking me right now. So I want to dive into what it is that we are going to be looking at astrologically this week first, because as I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, we've seen the energy really going into diving into the cracks and digging deeper. Okay. And also the evolution that this energy is working as for the evolution of us as people, but us collectively as well. All right. And this is because of Pluto in the sign of Capricorn and Saturn being in Aquarius and moving back into the sign of Capricorn, Mercury being retrograde in Cancer, the sun being in Cancer, the list goes on. Okay. So I want to talk about this week, and first, and of course I took notes because I did not want to forget anything that I did want to talk about that stuck out to me, okay? And the first thing that I want to talk about is Jupiter conjunct Saturn, and this is happening now through the 5th. It may extend past the 5th, but the 5th is all that I looked up through the chart when I was looking at it this morning. Now, Jupiter is in Capricorn, and Saturn is in Capricorn, and we have the planet conjunct. They're kind of conjoining, like they're almost on top of each other. And we'll see the energies of our structures and our boundaries, okay, and our rules and our regulations merging with the sign of Jupiter that's all about expansion, okay, and growth. Now, these planets are both retrograde, so they are reviewing our structures and our boundaries and our rules and our regulations of what it is that we need to work on, what's flawed for our growth and our expansion. This is happening through the 5th, okay? Now, we also have Jupiter conjoined with Pluto, all in the sign of Capricorn. This is happening through the 5th as well. Again, it might extend past the 5th. The 5th is all that I looked at. Now, when we have the energy of transformation and death and power and control, retrograde in the sign of Capricorn, this is us reviewing what needs to be released, our control, our power, all of these things, and our transformation, what needs to be transformed on a very, very deep level, okay? Now, Jupiter, again, growth and expansion and abundance. When we have these two retrograde and they're conjunct together, this is showing us on a big scale, and it might highlight and trigger some situations and like some issues because Jupiter and Pluto are working together for the expansion and the growth and development of our transformation, again, as people and collectively, okay? So, and one I do want to highlight here within this, Pluto is the planets are all one that will highlight what needs to be looked at, but Pluto is also looking at where we feel like we're in control and where we're not in control and highlighting these things as well. So we may even see, I'm really feeling like some power struggles within ourselves here because we're looking to either be in more control for the expansion of our life, or there's some places where we've been in too much control. And that can be a really heavy blow and a heavy hit to our egos, okay? Now, we also have Mercury square Chiron, and this is happening through the 5th as well. And when we have Mercury in the sign of Cancer, which is retrograde, which is reviewing our emotions, reviewing our home life, reviewing our privacy, okay? And really highlighting on what is emotionally taxing for us, being squared off with Chiron, which is like an asteroid. All right, and is our wounded healer. He is in the sign of Aries, and when the planets are squared off from each other, they're kind of like boxing it out. And when I see like the squared, like when I really picture it like mentally, I kind of literally like picture a boxing ring. But anyways, they're kind of boxing, so we can really see one with Mercury being in the sign of Cancer, we are already seeing heightens on our privacy, and we're also being not more reserved, but more not as forthcoming with the information that we may have already been forthcoming with. And Chiron is focusing on our wounded healer, the things that need to be healed, and he wants to kind of take action and kind of go forward in the impulsive sign of Aries. Now Cancer is kind of like, wait a minute, we really need to review this, because Mercury wants to review things, because he is retrograde in the sign of Cancer. He's not really trying to go forward with any actions right now. So we can kind of see where this might cause some issues within 1 hour, like I want to say like maybe even eruption as far as arguments, because we are battling this impulsive force as well as our mental state. Not saying that it's an argumentative energy. It just means that there is an inner confliction within us on how we want to work with the energies and exert them. And sometimes when we're having inner dialogue that is strenuous on us, it can exert aggressively outwardly. And again, Chiron is in the sign of Aries, so we can't neglect that, as well as Mercury being in a very emotional sign of Cancer. Now, from the 1st through the 2nd, we have the Sun conjunct to Mercury. And this is, again, highlighting what it is that we need to review emotionally in our home and in our privacy and our boundaries, okay? And this is our sun, our actions, how we're exerting ourselves in line with our thoughts. So we can kind of see us getting some headway here through the 1st and the 2nd, these 2 days, with us really being on the same page as our mental state with how we are exerting ourselves. We may see more reluctance to be being social, all right? And again, I do want to also reiterate the fact that Mercury is retrograde, so we are having breakdowns in communication, of course, but I do see us that let me slow down for a second, that the energy from the Sun conjunct, so conjoining with Mercury, is really going to be working for us to make some headway on the healing in our emotional trauma that needs to be dealt with, because they're going to be kind of merging and on the same page, and that we might actually make some really good headway on some of the healing that needs to, or some of the emotional release that needs to be exerted or released in a way, okay? Now, from the 2nd through the 5th, we have Mercury squared Aries, or squared Mars, which is in the sign of Aries, okay? So Mercury, again, thoughts, ideas, logic, communication, retrograde, Cancer, emotions, home, privacy, okay? And we have Mars in the sign of Aries. And Mars wants to take action, move forward, and is very impulsive and can be quite aggressive, especially when he's in the home of Aries. We also have Mercury in the sign of Cancer, which is very emotional. So we're going to have these conflicting energies, and we may even see some arguments arise from the 2nd through the 5th from Mercury being squared to Mars in the sign of Aries, because of this aggressive energy that's really, really pushing and really wanting to move forward. And we may see the energy of really wanting to move forward on what it is that we need to work through and what it is that we need to deal with, because these energies are greatly bothering us within us. Okay, we really want to take action on this. So we may see some argumentative energy and some impulsiveness because of the inner confliction here as well. Now, on the 4th, we have the moon conjunct to Mercury. Yeah, not conjunction, opposition. The moon opposition to Mercury. I was wondering why I was reading that wrong. I'm like, that's not right. The moon conjunct to Mercury. So the moon on this day is going to be in the sign of Capricorn, which is all about structures and foundation. And again, rules, regulation, having things go smooth and sturdy, and having a good, not even going smooth and sturdy, but having a very good, solid foundation that is unbreakable, okay? And this is our desires. This is where we're at, like what it is that we're craving, what it is that we are wanting, what it is on, like, I don't want to say on our mental state, but what it is that we are being emotionally pulled to, okay? So security and stability and having a really solid foundation. Now, this is opposing Mercury in the sign of Cancer, and this is all about emotions, okay? So we are going to see an opposition of forces between our mental state and our emotional state wanting to be done, wanting to be secure, wanting to be stable, but our mental state being very emotional and having things that it needs to work on and review. So we will see some confliction here as well. Now, on the 5th, we have the full moon in the sign of Capricorn. So it's basically the same energies, but these are going to be exemplified even more because it is a full moon and it is all about release. So these energies of what it is that is causing you to be unstable and not really have a strong structure or strong foundation or not feel strong within yourself are going to be arising and going to be coming up to the forefront. Okay. Now, as well on the 5th, we have the moon conjunct Pluto. So the moon is damn near on top of Pluto, highlighting our desire and urge for deep transformation and growth and structure. Okay? Because of it being in the sign of Capricorn. We also have the moon on top of or conjunct to Saturn, highlighting structure even more and the desire for rules and regulation, things to be moving smoothly. And I feel like here within this week, especially within around the 4th and the 5th, but the whole week in general, because Pluto is conjunct to Jupiter and Jupiter is conjunct to Saturn. And then the highlights with the moon being conjunct to Pluto and conjunct to Saturn and conjunct to Jupiter. We're looking for a desire for a highlight on our expansion and our development and our growth and abundance, okay? And we're looking for a highlight and a desire on structure and foundation, things being solid and secure. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. He is currently home, although he is retrograde. And Pluto is in the sign of Capricorn as well. So is Jupiter. So when we look at Saturn in conjunction to the energies of Capricorn, this is really highlighting our structure and our foundation. And I want to even say, again, our government, we're going to be looking at things that need to be reviewed and have a desire for this structure and this foundation and this change. So watch what's going on in our, like, globally, not even just our government, but globally this week and going into next week, because again, I did not extend past the 5th. And I wanted to break down all of this information about what it is. And this isn't even all of the information. This is what stuck out to me on what it is that I have been telling you guys, what it is that I've been telling you guys about digging deeper and the evolution of us as people. This is not just the evolution of us as people, as individuals, but us as people, as the collective as a whole. So we are seeing struggles for change and these things within ourselves that exert into the energies of structure and our government. And I want to highlight this because not only are we seeking change, the government feels this energy as well. So we have to make sure that we're keeping our eyes open to this. And I really, again, wanted to let you guys know what it is that I'm seeing this way so we can see why it is some of the things that are unfolding that they are. Now, how the energy of this week is going to affect us within the cards, what it is that I'm feeling is, again, is really going and diving deep into what it is, looking deeper and deeper. It's like I'm almost feeling like every week we're just like shedding more and more layers and looking at our desires and reviewing them and seeing what it is that they are and why they are the way they are. This can come from Chiron as well as Mercury, really focusing on why are our desires the way that they are, because of what has happened that we are desiring this outcome instead of an outcome that we have already previously had. We are breaking that apart and really diving and honing in on why are we desiring this? What is the breakdown in the core for this desire? So then once we know why, we can make sure that those things don't get somehow incorporated, because we know why we are looking at this particular thing that we are desiring versus something else, okay? Or versus anything else, okay? For that matter. Now, how this energy is going to affect us in the physical, we have the Queen of Pentacles, as well as the Three of Water. And this is really saying that our emotions are being highlighted in the physical and how it is that we are acting in the physical, but it is also exemplifying, it's also examining or highlighting the energy of what it is that we want to be living and what it is that we want to be doing in the physical. And again, I want to say that this is not really a dream job. Again, we are so focused right now on our personal development in our lives because of where Mercury is retrograde currently. Okay, this is our home lives, and this is why I feel like I'm feeling it on such an intense level, that this is personal. This is personal for us and our environments that we're in every single day. So yes, it might transfer into a job or a new job, but a lot of this is our lives outside of everything and our beings as a whole, I feel. Okay, now how this energy is going to affect us mentally, we have the Two of Cups and the Five of Fire. And for this, I feel like, not that it's contradicting each other, I feel like things are coming together in a sense, or that before things can kind of come together, because I kind of feel like almost seeing that there's like this cloth in between their hands, that before things can kind of come together perfectly, that we have to really match and defeat what it is that we are fighting up against mentally. What is going on? What is our pushback? What's blocking us from our happiness or getting to where it is that we want to go? What is that cloth? What is that barrier for you? What is it that you are fighting? So it's really bringing up the energies of what it is that you need to look at so things can come together. What's blocking you from this reality that you want to be experiencing in your life as a whole, okay? Now, how this energy is going to affect us emotionally, we have the Nine of Cups, the Crone, and the Tower. And I really see this as the Nine of Cups is really pushing out outside forces, so she can look at not the happiness, but almost the fulfillment of what it is that she wants to have surrounding her in her everyday life. And we can see things are literally pulling at her heart or blocking her. And she's like, wait a minute, I just need a minute. Stop. I need to figure out what is going on. And this is to figure out who it is that you are authentically. And I know, and I've been saying this for a while, because this was a big part of the energy before we started reviewing things, before planets started going retrograde, and even some of them were retrograde. We were looking at who it was that we were authentically and diving more into that. But it's almost pushing out the outside factors that are keeping us from this point. So I feel like it's almost not a tunnel of seclusion, but there's a really big force of pushing things outward, really, keeping yourself, secluded and pushing things outwards while you're reviewing what is pulling at your heart to get to this point to figure out even more so who it is that you are authentically, and everything that you have been put or journeyed up into this point that has made you who it is that you are throughout all these breakdowns and changes that you have experienced and you are experiencing. So it's like this push out or this seclusion or almost hermit mode while you're reviewing what's pulling at your heartstrings, what is actually authentic to you despite all of these breakdowns and changes that you are experiencing and have experienced. Because right now things are being brought to the forefront, but only things that are being brought to the forefront are things that have already been issues in the past. Because the planets are highlighting an issue. There is an issue that is happening here. Now, moving on to how we need to work with this energy, we have the Eight of Pentacles and the Five of Pentacles. So it's really looking at within the Eight of Pentacles, I feel like with this card, we're really working on what it is that we need to kind of heal, patch up, or put a salve on. Here I kind of feel like he's putting on a bandage on all of these wounds. And this is not to say that he's just covering them up, because it's almost like maybe he's putting new salve, like new antibiotics, new things to help these wounds heal. And there's this energy of surrender or prayer almost, that the universe is hearing your cry. So we're letting this out and we're releasing them. So it's almost the energy of really coming down and releasing and giving what it is that, like, emotionally, that needs to be given to the universe, and putting a new salve and really working through what it is that is causing us these issues and why we need to be working towards these issues. And we're feeling this is going to be so heavy in our forefront is because of Pluto and the moon and Saturn and Jupiter all being in Capricorn, damn near on top of each other. Really, really heightening the facts of the structure and the foundations that we want to have and how stable we want our life to be, okay? Now, the conclusion cards that we get is the King of Swords, as well as the Two of Air. And it's saying that all of this mental discord that you have going on, that is, and everything that's going on in your mental state that's kind of like wish-washy for you, is working to bring us into a more balance of ourselves. And this is also the energy of not shying away, of acting like everything is all bad or acting like everything is all good, that we're coming in to balance within oneself. And within balance, there is, I almost want to say, control as well. Okay, so it's almost a newfound control within ourselves of being balanced, balancing the good and the bad, the happy emotions, the negative emotions, all of that. Okay, now I pulled an extended cards as well, and we have the King of Cups and the Eight of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Six of Swords. And just want to say that again, and this is how the energy, like what else that we need to know that is beyond this spread. And it's almost that there's going to be this one, again, highlight of emotion that we have to kind of work through, that we are kind of working through this highlight of emotion that we often kind of want to run away from or suppress or kind of overcompensate with alcohol or drugs or whatever the case may be. That instead of doing that, we're working through these to bring the change that needs to be brought, to create the evolution that needs to be created, the transmutation of the energies that needs to be transmutated, to get us to a place that is more conclusive for us, that is more blissful, that is more peaceful. Okay? And that you may have to be taken down through the dark, or it may be feeling like you're being drugged through the dark right now. But this is work through this, work through these energies, work through these emotions to come out on top out of all of the breakdowns that you are experiencing. Okay? So this week may be kind of heavy with what it is that we have going on with our desire and urge and need for stability, and really being structured and having a good solid foundation, and to be experiencing the safety and security of that. All right. And we are going to have our mental state kind of working against our desires, and in which it seems that way. But all that this is really doing is working to highlight these things and highlight these issues and working through them instead of suppressing them. And a part of this energy to kind of push out the outside forces is we need to hone on what it is that is important here for our transformation to get to this point of our authentic selves, is pushing that out so we can get to the transformation, so we can look at and deal with the energies and the emotions as they come up to get through these changes, because we are having, and it might not there may be some physical breakdowns that are happening with altercations with other people, and there may be breakdowns within ourselves, and I'm really seeing both. Okay, so I know that this video is a little bit longer than some of my other energy videos, but I really, really, really wanted you guys to be able to see what it is that is going on, why the energies are working that way, and to not necessarily get scared. We may see a lot of breakdowns, we may see a lot of irritation within ourselves and within other people, because we have this desire to kind of be in a place of structure and stability because of all of the planets, and then the moon that is going to be joining Capricorn. That's where we're really, really highlighting, you know what I mean? As well as the sun and Mercury, you know, our thought process and the way we are outernally expressing ourselves being in the sign of Capricorn. So there's a lot of confliction there as well. So I just wanted you guys to be able to understand this energy, and I'm feeling like I might take my videos kind of in this direction, to kind of really dive deep into what it is that we will be experiencing and what, and how we really need to work with this energy for our best benefit. Now, I hope that you all, I hope that you all have gained clarity from this message and received everything that you need. If you feel like you need a reading specifically for yourself, please do not hesitate to contact me. I would love to work with you. Everybody have a great day.